Curb your enthusiasm, right? Very important concept to understand. Very important concept to understand. You have to keep your conversation, or at least your enthusiasm, to a bare minimum, right? Because anticipation and desire is feminine, and it can lead you to a place where you have submissive behavior, right? Because what you have to be aware of is feminine dominance, right? Sometimes what can happen is you can move in a masculine dominant way with a woman, right? You can move in a masculine dominant way. You're just meeting a woman, right? You're just meeting her. Now, you're having conversations with her. You're trying to set it up. You're setting up the link. Then something falls through. It don't happen, but she has a quote-unquote good excuse. Now, the more nasty shit you talk, not always, some men there beyond this, but the more nasty shit you talk, the more enthusiasm is built up, the more non-sexual access you give that woman to you, and the more you realize, although the context of that scenario was supposed to be sexual, you find yourself talking to a woman more and more non-sexually, or you're talking to her sexually, right? But she's not necessarily following through on everything that she says she will do. Maybe y'all link up once. Maybe y'all have a conversation about what type of dynamic you want to have. And when you're moving in a masculine dominant way, the goal is to be structured, solid about what you want, and to be dominant, to be in control, right? Now, certain things are going to be outside of your control. Shit pops up. One of the most important things to understand is that a person is going to make time for what they want to make time for. If a woman really wants to see you, she can be in school, she can have kids, she can have a career. She's going to find a time to come fuck with you and suck that dick. She's going to come find time to do that. And if she doesn't, it's because her interest level isn't high enough, or her anxiety level is higher than her desire level, right? And sometimes it's because a woman might have some type of issues, right? Or it could be whatever it is, just some shit going on in her own life that you have no control over. And you do not have enough stake in this woman's life to be able to tax her, right? To be able to fully tax her and her follow through with it. Because you ain't fucked with her long enough. So what I say is this. Until you've linked with a woman on at least 3 separate, completely separate occasions, not having sex with her 3 times, right, in one night. I'm not saying that. I'm saying until she has agreed to come through and fuck with you on at least 3 occasions. After the 3rd, that's when you can consider that woman part of your rotation, right? That and if it's within a short enough but long enough period of time. Understand what I'm saying? Because you can fuck with a woman 3 times in a week, right? I'm not saying you should do that, but you can do that and a woman can still fall off, right? Or you can try to link up with a woman and y'all fuck 3 times and it's been 2 months, right? Or 3 months. That's not part of your rotation, right? Unless you've linked up with a woman, I'll say on 3 separate weeks. Let's say it's been a month's time and you've linked up 1, no more than 2 times within that period of a month, right? Every week y'all have linked up. When you say you want to link up, she pulls up, she's there when she says she's gonna be there, right? Y'all get nasty, do what you're supposed to do. And she might hit you up to link up again, but if you hit her up to link again, she's free. If she's not free, she finds her nearest possible convenience to try to make that happen. If she can't pull up, because for whatever happened, then she will be willing to find the time to do it. Get what I'm saying? Like, this is how you make that transition from a hookup to a fuck buddy, right? You have to curb your enthusiasm. Because if you don't curb your enthusiasm, you continue to communicate with this woman in a sexual way, then you might build up this idea, this expectation of what the scenario is going to look like, all of these things that you want to do, but you don't have any assurance and you don't see any consistency within this woman's actions and behaviors to make that happen. She's not part of your rotation. Since she's not part of your rotation, you don't have the same leverage in that particular situation. You have to curb your enthusiasm. Because if you do not curb your enthusiasm, the anticipation can put you in a submissive or feminine position. You can go from masculine dominant to feminine dominant by saying, this is all the nasty shit you said you were going to do. And then you can get butthurt, you can get frustrated, and then you can start being willing to play games, right? Play her game, trying to talk to her, trying to play these little word games. You could try to tax her, then be like, oh damn, maybe I came on too hard, I came on too strong, and then she don't take the tax. And before you know it, you could be in a position where you are giving up some of your dominance so that you can have access to her sexually. That's a power struggle. She's putting herself in the dominant position. Now, as this occurs, you start to get to the place where you recognize, you know what? This shit ain't working. Real shit is not. But because of all that shit in your mind, you're like, well, I still want to get what I said I was going to get out of it. See, now you're putting yourself in a position where you start to become the primary receiver of pleasure, and she's the primary receiver of control. So you have to recognize that sometimes a woman is going to deal with you, a feminine dominant woman is what I call a brat sometimes. Sometimes a brat, a natural brat out in the wild. She is going to be attracted to your masculine dominance. But she's not attracted to your masculine dominance to follow your lead. She's attracted to your masculine dominance for the challenge. Now, there's a sexual challenge in the moment, right? There's one thing. But then there's also the challenge of seeing if she can get you off of your square. Now, another thing to understand about a feminine dominant woman is that a feminine dominant woman or a brat, sometimes she's going to be attracted to your intensity. She's going to be attracted to your masculinity, to your dominance. But she's attracted to that masculinity and that dominance. But that same thing that attracts her is what makes her feel uncomfortable, makes her feel unsafe. And you're going to almost have to take a masculine submissive stance of being overly cooperative with her in order to make her feel comfortable. It's not your responsibility to make that woman feel comfortable. Her desire level and her respect level for just seeing you as a man and how you carry yourself as a man should carry her over into a place where her desire overrides her discomfort, right? When this does not occur, you might get overly invested in the situation, get butthurt. And when you say things that sound dominant, but really is from a place of being butthurt, a woman will take that and feel unsafe. She will take that and feel pressured. Once a woman feels pressured, that means that you're trying to get her to do something that she doesn't want to do, right? Now, what you got to understand about a feminine dominant woman is that a feminine dominant woman will say all the shit that you want to hear, right? She'll make all these plans, say all the shit that she want to do, but that doesn't guarantee that when you say it's time to follow through on it, she's going to follow through on it. You have to curb your enthusiasm. So how do you curb your enthusiasm? Is one, keep your expectation low, right? Take all the shit that she says and throw it out the window. I think it's best to take the Mr. Miyagi method, but sometimes guys might want to, have more conversations about it. But what happens is when you have all those conversations about what you're going to do, instead of allowing that woman to figure out what the fuck it is that you're going to do and going with your flow, then you start to compromise and negotiate with the woman about what you want to do with your time, right? And once you get to that place, you're starting to leave out of the dominant position. You're starting to leave out of the masculine position. Or maybe you're masculine, but you're just trying to negotiate. And that woman can get to a place where she's gotten what she wanted. Even if she wanted sex at first, she can get the emotional validation of feeling like you're chasing after her, right? without even having to fuck you. Understand, both men and women love sex, right? But the validation is different, right? So the validation for a man when it comes to a woman sexually, or when it comes to a woman, is typically about having sexual access to her, being in control, and the things she's willing to do outside of sex to show that she values you, right? For a woman, oftentimes when you're starting in a sexual scenario, what strokes that woman's ego is having access to your emotions. It doesn't matter what emotion it is. It can be a positive emotion, it can be a negative emotion, right? And if she gets access to a positive emotion and then she withdraws, then she may use that as an opportunity to have access to your negative emotions. That's the Delilah syndrome. Now, she may be consciously doing, she may not consciously be doing it, right? She may feel like she's not free. That's possible. It's not always likely, but it's possible. Because if she wanted to be free, she would find a way to be free. Understand that. You have to curb your enthusiasm. When you understand these different aspects of it, you understand that at each level of dealing with a woman, there's a different level of boundaries. There's a different level of expectation. Keep your expectations low for a woman who is under a fuck buddy. Keep it, a woman who's under friends with benefits, right? For a woman who is under your girlfriend, for a woman who is under your wife, for whatever position a woman is in, you set your expectations, your boundaries, your standards, what you will deal with for each one of those levels. Now, set your standard based on Brody's scale on what type of sexual arrangement you would like to have. Understand this, right? Certain levels are really dope. It's fun to have that 9 level. I like that 9 level because typically a woman is not going to be able to be feminine dominant with you consistently on a 9 level. A woman can be, fuck buddies with you and be on a 8 level, right? Because, okay, you're giving her some dick, cool. She felt like she got some dick out of it. But on that 9 level, she may be doing sexual acts for you, sexual favors for you. That doesn't directly stimulate her in that way that would give her all the pleasure and desire that she wants. She doesn't feel as in control. A woman has to respect you and desire you on a high enough level to be able to deal with you on that 9 level. That 9 level, she could just come through, suck some dick, and that's it. Now, sometimes when a woman's feminine dominant, she may have a very dominant sex drive. So she may not like just sucking some dick. She may feel like she wants to get more out of it. You might turn her on to the point where she starts feeling that feeling of losing control of her desires. And once a woman gets in that position of feeling unsafe, because a woman can feel unsafe because of her desire level, you can arouse a woman using the games that I give, like the marination method, priming, and that can take a woman to a place where her desire level can get up to a 10 level in that moment to where she's willing to pay for it. But when she leaves out of that moment, she could feel unsafe, and because of that, when a woman feels unsafe, her go-to is to use the defense mechanism of pulling away or trying to find an opportunity to see you falter in your masculinity, to see you get off of your square so that she can lose respect for you, so that she can feel like you're pursuing her, so that she can lose interest and walk away. Understand that. That's the Delilah syndrome. So there's a lot of reasons to curb your enthusiasm. But understand, before a woman meets that criteria of being a fuck buddy, right? There's not a lot of negotiation that goes on with that shit. It's not. Maybe a little bit, but not really, right? Once you get to a higher level. Because what you have to understand is that as a masculine dominant man, you're thinking about her pleasure and your pleasure. It's not you versus her saying, well, this is what I want and this is what you want, so how are we going to try to find out how we're going to both get what we want out of it? No, that's not what it is. When you take that route, it's very easy for you to find yourself in a submissive position, right? It's very easy for you to find yourself in a masculine submissive position so that your energy can try to align itself with her feminine dominance, because energy, the sexual polarity quadrant, it is reciprocal. It is complementary. So when she's feminine dominant Either she's going to decide to be feminine and submissive with you, and most of the time it's going to be a bait and switch to where she's going to switch back from time to time, do some goofy shit, and try to use the Delilah syndrome, right? The parable of the house in the storm, right? Or it's a variety of techniques that she might use, a shit test, right? Just different things to try to get you off your square because she doesn't feel comfortable with the level of desire that she has. So if you're masculine and dominant, she's feminine dominant, either she is going to turn into, right, a feminine submissive to deal with you, right? Because a masculine submissive is not lubricated enough in its desire level to deal with you on that level. So either she's going to turn into a feminine submissive, right? And most time it's going to be a bait and switch, or you're going to turn yourself into a masculine submissive in order to try and get some consistency out of this woman. Sometimes you have to just stop responding, right? Real shit. If she's not saying what you want to hear, sometimes you have to recognize that communication is overrated. And trying to communicate with this woman is just giving her further validation when she's already not doing what the fuck she's supposed to do. And she may continue to try to soak these conversations up out of you for enough period of time to feel like you're willing to pursue her. And after she's done that, then she can find herself in a position where she feel like, sigh of relief. I got what I wanted at him. That nigga's not who he said he is. And then she can move on. And it can be simple and it can be easy for her. Then you can be stuck there like, damn, she said we was going to do all this. And she's like, I could change what I want to do at any time. Because I'm not obligated to you, because she's not. All right? She got to understand. See, when we're looking at these different aspects of Dom-Sub dynamics, you also got to recognize that when you recognize that she's not being consistent, instead of walking away, if you don't have enough women in your rotation already, you may become feminine dominant yourself, right? And then try to get her to be transactional with sex in order to get your validation. Or you might try to get her in a position where you become feminine dominant yourself, and then you play this game of cat and mouse with each other. Right? There's a lot of different things that go on with this, but it's very important to curb your enthusiasm to maintain your polarity within yourself. How you carry yourself as a man. Sometimes what some women will do, some women will be feminine dominant. They'll pretend they're feminine submissive. And some women, you could be masculine and dominant in how you approach a woman up front. Then a woman can come to you and she could be feminine dominant with the hopes of making you masculine submissive. So some women, they'll come to you and they'll try to sprinkle a little pussy on you so that if she sprinkles enough on you, you'll want some in-house pussy. And then she'll come stay in your house. I've heard this many times. She'll come stay in your house, eat up your food, use up your lights, live damn near rent-free for some in-house pussy. And then before you know it, she's going to start cutting back on the pussy so that she can leverage sex. Because she has to control the sex and keep herself from getting in a feminine submissive position with you. Right? That's what you got to understand. So sometimes a woman will use feminine dominance, bait and switch, pretend to be feminine submissive so that she can get you in a masculine submissive position where you're giving her the things that she needs to fill her cup. So it can be emotional validation, social validation, or financial compensation, security. So sometimes a woman will sprinkle some pussy on you so she can get security, then start gradually pulling away from how much sex she's having with you so that she can kind of, edge you along. A great sign of a woman who's feminine dominant is this, and this is a great sign of it. A great sign of it is a woman who can't handle being edged or teased. If teasing or edging drives her crazy in a way to where she feels like she wants to forcefully take it, or she's trying to pay for it, like sometimes when it comes to teasing and edging, it's a very submissive thing, right? You have to be submissive to be able to receive edging and teasing, right? And being marinated. Because if that woman feels too uncomfortable with the high level of desire, she can't tap into intrinsic desire, then she's like, nah, I need the dick right now, nigga. I need it right now. Yada, yada, yada. That's shit that goes down. It really goes down like that sometimes. And you have to recognize, right, that then a woman might say, I can't handle that. Cool. Sometimes you need to leave that woman alone. But when you start becoming overly emotionally empathetic, sympathetic, and understanding because you didn't curb your enthusiasm and you're overly emotionally invested and overly invested, with your desire because of the conversations that you had leading up into the scenario, you might start bending subtly here and there on the things that you want the situation to look like instead of sticking to your program, your gun, and what you think the situation is supposed to be. Just because you change things doesn't mean that that woman is going to get with what you're doing and pick up what you're putting down. She could be gradually breaking you down so that she can put you in the submissive position, right? So understand that. Right? Curb your enthusiasm. It's Coach Brody. I'm out.